Hello everyone, Rob here, and welcome to module number 5, understanding the basics of antioxidants and oxidants or free radicals. Okay, one of the properties that we promote that Kangen water has is that it has the ability to reduce oxidation and that it is an antioxidant. Okay, so we want to know a little bit about this subject. Fair warning, it is a very complicated subject. There is a lot involved in this subject. Okay, so my goal here is to give you a basic foundation of knowledge on this topic so you are able to discuss it correctly. But in reality, this is a very complex topic, okay? So I want you to just keep that in mind. Okay, antioxidants. Antioxidants are molecules or atoms that have the ability to satisfy or neutralize a reactive oxygen species, or ROS, we'll call it, okay? ROS. And when you're doing research on PubMed, when you're searching electrolyzed reduced water or hydrogen-rich water, a lot of the peer-reviewed articles will use acronyms like ROS. So antioxidants are molecules or atoms that have the ability to neutralize these reactive oxygen species or free radicals. Okay, that's a very simple way to explain it to someone. Okay, antioxidants help protect our body from free radicals or reactive oxygen species. Okay, by getting in the middle, in between our biomolecules of our cells and the free radicals. Hence, our biomolecules are not affected by the free radicals. There are many different kinds of antioxidants. There are antioxidants in the form of vitamins, like vitamin K, E, and C. There are antioxidants in the form of minerals, like manganese and zinc. Even some proteins, like alpha lipoic acid or glutathione, are antioxidants. There are antioxidants in the form of enzymes, like melatonin and superoxide dismutase. There are some antioxidants that our body produces naturally and are known as first line of defense antioxidants. And there are some that come from food sources and can be categorized as second line of defense antioxidants. So the reason why I'm giving you all this information here is I want you to really see how much more there is to this. There's so many different kinds of antioxidants. Okay, there's antioxidants have different methods of how they reduce oxidation. Okay, there's different sizes of antioxidants. So some antioxidants are better at getting into different parts of the body. Okay, there's a lot of information in regards to antioxidants, and it's really, as an adjunct distributor, it's not a recommendation or a requirement to have a biochemist's, okay, or a dietitian's level of knowledge in antioxidants, but it is a requirement if you're going to be approaching people who may have that level of education, or you want to sound credible and be professional, that you should have a basic understanding of what these antioxidants do for the body and why it's beneficial, okay? First line of defense antioxidants are crucial for neutralizing reactive oxygen species, ROS, in our cells. Okay, so first line of defense antioxidants are the ones that our bodies naturally produce. Okay, we naturally produce, just like we naturally produce certain antioxidants, we naturally produce free radicals when we produce energy. Okay, it is a waste. These free radicals are a waste product. The main four first line of defense antioxidants we have in our body are SOD, which stands for superoxide dismutase. CAT stands for catalase, okay, glutathione, and peroxidase. These are four different kinds of antioxidants that our bodies naturally produce, and they're considered first line of defense antioxidants. And their purpose, basic, because each of them have a different free radical that they target or will neutralize. Okay, but the basic idea of what these are doing is that we are naturally producing free radicals just from metabolizing oxygen, as an example. Okay, so these free radicals, one of their main purposes is to help neutralize the free radicals that we're naturally producing just by metabolizing energy, okay, and creating cellular waste. So by producing energy, our cells are working hard, okay, they're producing a cellular waste byproduct, okay, that has free radicals in them, and our bodies are producing antioxidants to go and counteract that waste product, okay? So for an example, our bodies naturally produce an enzyme in our liver called superoxide dismutase, okay? One of the main jobs or purpose of this enzyme, antioxidant that we produce, is to neutralize a free radical called superoxide. Where does superoxide come from? We produce it when we metabolize oxygen, okay? So we produce superoxide to neutralize we produce superoxide dismutase to go and neutralize the superoxide so we can carry that waste out of the body properly. Drinking Kangen water has been found to increase the production of SOD, of superoxide dismutase. This was found in the Kangen water scientific studies in live human volunteers, okay, that Enagic has agreed to let Dr. Horst Filzer, our medical advisor, do, and utilizing the autoimmune systems laboratories in Klamath Falls, Oregon, which is an independent laboratory. So one of the latest things that they found up to date is looking at the plasma of the live human volunteers. They found that people who drink the volunteers who were on the Kangen water, their production of the superoxide dismutase was significantly upregulated. Okay, that's a very big finding, and I like to share that with people. As when people ask me, well, what's a benefit? I like to share with them, if they can comprehend this, if I know they're at that level of understanding, I will share this because this is a non-debatable fact that when people are consuming Kangen water, they're improving their first line of defense, okay, in their body by upregulating production of superoxide dismutase. And superoxide dismutase is a very crucial enzyme that is found in all living organisms that utilize oxygen, okay? And it keeps us protected from free radicals and prevents a number of degenerative diseases. And it's produced in the liver, okay? So liver health is a big key to the production of superoxide dismutase. Okay, some antioxidants that we consume can in fact become a less harmful free radical once it has donated its electron. Okay, so a lot of foods we eat that we try to eat to maintain our health and longevity are foods rich in antioxidants. Okay, and one thing that is not highly promoted, and I was actually, when I was doing my original research, I found this quite interesting. That when when a food or a substance that is considered an antioxidant, what we call it a second line of defense antioxidant, because you're getting it from your food, when that molecule that you're consuming, that antioxidant molecule, donates an electron to a free radical, okay, that antioxidant, now that it lost its electron, it itself will become a less harmful free radical, okay? So because of this, we can actually consume too many antioxidants. Reactive oxygen species is not all bad. Our body uses ROS to help fight off invasive bacteria or viruses, as one example. So we don't want to go overboard with the antioxidants and start neutralizing the beneficial ROS. Luckily, Kangen water has a very special form of antioxidant. It has been labeled a selective antioxidant. Okay, so if you're consuming a high amount of antioxidants, which is a good thing, but to a point, okay? If you're overdoing it, so you're supplementing antioxidants, a high percentage of what you're consuming would be considered a antioxidant-rich food. You have to remember that these second line of defense antioxidants, a lot of them will become less harmful free radicals in the process of them reacting with a free radical. So you can actually start producing more free radicals with your antioxidants, okay, which is kind of crazy to think about. Also, a lot of these antioxidants, well, probably all of them, are not selective. So as a downfall, we could actually neutralize reactive oxygen species or free radicals that are beneficial to the body, like in aiding in fighting off invasive bacteria, okay, or viruses. So Kangen water has a form of antioxidant that has been labeled selective, okay? And what that means is the antioxidant found in Kangen water seems to know the difference between which ones are beneficial and which ones are cytotoxic, okay? Okay, there is a misconception that antioxidants are negatively charged and oxidants are positively charged. Okay, so when years ago when I started doing my own research, a lot of websites, a lot of information I was finding online, you know, PDFs of books written by doctors and nutritionists. I actually found this was a quite common concept that was shared as a simple way to explain antioxidants. The issue is it's incorrect and it is misleading to people. And when it comes to us doing this offline, being an adjunct distributors, we want to give people basic, clear, concise, okay, factual information that they can grasp. So as an example, you don't want to give people information like this if they ask, and then they go and share it with people that they know, and then the people that they know may have specific levels of education in biochemistry, okay, or in biology, or they may have they may be in the medical field of some sort, and they may have an understanding that that is incorrect, and now that is going to affect your credibility and the credibility of the product, because for a lot of people, you are the face of the product at this point. Okay, a lot of people haven't heard of an adjunct, don't know what Kangen water is, so you're introducing it to them. You are the face of the product. You are representing an adjunct to that individual's perspective, okay, to their awareness. So you want to give them information that is factual, so they can build trust with you. Okay, so antioxidants are not always negatively charged, and oxidants are not always positively charged. One of the reasons why I thought this was promoted this way is because we always say that antioxidants are electron donors and oxidants are electron acceptors, and that is correct. But that doesn't mean that the antioxidant is always negatively charged. and the oxidant is always positively charged, okay? So never explain antioxidants to people saying that they are negatively charged ions and oxidants are positively charged ions. There's a misconception, and if that information, if you are promoting this information to somebody with a level of education in this field that exceeds your own, they may question you on that. Okay, antioxidants can be neutral or positively charged, and it is simply a lot more complicated than that. Okay, like I said, this is a very in-depth, complicated subject, so we want to keep it simple. So don't get into specifics. Don't get into this specific molecule is considered an antioxidant. This specific molecule is considered a free radical. Okay, there are some we're going to need to know, but there's such a variety of different free radicals and different molecules that would be considered antioxidants, and they have all sorts of charges from positive, negative to neutral. Okay, and they react in different ways. Okay, we don't need to know all of that. We just need to know we just need to have an understanding of its awareness. Okay, so I'll read this again. Antioxidants can be neutral or positively charged. It is simply a lot more complicated than that. Many antioxidants neutralize specific reactive molecules and work in different ways. Oxidants, okay, now we're talking about ROS, reactive oxygen species, or we can call them free radicals. Oxidants can be negatively charged, like superoxide, okay, which we touched on earlier. That's the free radical that we produce when we metabolize oxygen, and it is a negatively charged oxygen molecule. Okay, so it has a negative charge, but it's a free radical. So that's an example just to show you, okay, that why that's a misconception. Okay, and then the superoxide dismutase is what neutralizes the superoxide. But superoxide, okay, is negatively charged. Okay, so oxidants can be negatively charged, like, as an example, superoxide, or neutral. So oxidants can be neutral, like hydroxyl. Okay, hydroxyl is a free radical. Okay, that we have no natural defense mechanism to, and is very toxic to the body. It's a highly reactive free radical, and it's neutral. It doesn't have a charge. It's basically a oxygen atom, okay, and a hydrogen atom. So it's very similar to what we spoke about in the pH module, what we call the hydroxide, the OH negative. The hydroxyl is an OH neutral, okay? Very similar. The hydroxide has just one extra electron. One's a negatively charged ion, okay, that actually has some benefits, and one take that electron away and boom, now it's a cytotoxic free radical. Okay? So there's two examples of free radicals that are not positively charged. One is negatively charged and one is neutral. Okay? So the best way to describe free radicals so that you are clear and correct and people get the message, okay, they can grasp the information, is free radicals, okay, are atoms, molecules, or substances, you can say, okay, that are missing a electron, or have let me start over. A free radical is a atom, molecule, or substance, okay, that has an unpaired electron in its outer orbit, and we can call that the valence orbit, okay? Because around a nucleus, this is a nucleus, okay, so we could have protons and neutrons in the nucleus, and then we have electrons that orbit around the nucleus, okay? But there's multiple layers, and different atoms have a different amount of layers, okay? But the outermost layer is what we're talking about here, and that is called the valence orbit. So any molecule, substance, or atom that doesn't have paired electrons in that outer orbit, okay, become reactive, and they start looking for that electron. They become electron hungry. Okay, they're electron hunters, and they'll take an electron from a molecule that comes in contact with them to satisfy itself and have the outer orbit have all paired electrons. So that's what a free radical is. It's not a positively charged atom molecule, okay? It's a molecular atom that is missing, that doesn't have, it has an unpaired electron in its outer orbit, okay? The reason why they are so reactive is because they have an unpaired electron in their outer orbit called the valence orbit. Electrons like to be in pairs, okay? So if someone asks, what is a free radical? Free radical is a atom or a molecule that has an unpaired electron in its outer orbit, and it really wants to have that electron in those electrons in pairs, so it will steal electrons from another molecule or substance in order to satisfy that, okay? So that's where antioxidants come in. The antioxidants get in between the free radical and our biomolecules, the molecules that make up our cells, okay, our cell membranes, our little organelles inside of our cells, the nucleus of our cells, okay, and then inside the nucleus we have our DNA. So those are all built generally of biological molecules, and if we don't have antioxidants neutralizing these free radicals will have access to the electrons in our biomolecules, and that causes degeneration of our cells, okay, oxidation. Okay, there's another misconception that hydroxide is the antioxidant in Kangen water. This is because it is a negative ion. But in reality, if the hydroxide ion lost one electron, it would become the hydroxyl radical. Okay, the hydroxyl radical is one of the most toxic ROS to the human body. So this goes back to that misconception that antioxidants are negatively charged. Okay, so I've seen it done on lots of YouTube videos, even from doctors. I've read it in books that I've purchased on Amazon. And I questioned it, and I found the correct information. And that's what I'm relaying with you here, so that you don't go with the mistakes that I did. Learning this, thinking that it's correct, and then being corrected, okay, and losing that credibility. So the antioxidant in the Kangen water is the molecular hydrogen. Okay, the molecular hydrogen is a neutral molecule. The hydroxide in the water is not the antioxidant, okay? A lot of people will say that, it's the electron donating ion, anion, and it donates an electron. No, the hydrogen gas is what donates the electrons, okay? In a very specific way. The hydroxide is negatively charged, okay? But that's not what is the antioxidant. So I just want to make that clear. If you do hear that information, just overlook it. Okay, it's a misconception. The antioxidant in Kangen water is the molecular hydrogen gas, H2. It is a neutral molecule. One of the ways H2 acts as an antioxidant is that one H2 molecule can directly neutralize two hydroxyl radicals, converting them to H2O molecules. Okay, so I'm going to try to draw some pictures here with the whiteboard. I'm going to give this a try. If it's sloppy, I apologize. But I remember in college, I took electronics engineering, and one of my instructors was just a genius, and he taught us telecommunications and industrial electronics. And he would start on one side of the chalkboard, and on the upper left corner, and then he would just write circuits and equations, and then in 45 minutes he'd be on the bottom right side of the chalkboard, and everyone would just be like, holy. So I would have to spend so much time dissecting his notes, his lecture, and then I'd have to rewrite the notes. So if this is sloppy, I do apologize. But I hope I can get the point across here. So what is the hydroxide? Remember we spoke about it in module 3. It's an OH negative, okay? And that's what makes something more alkaline, okay? So basically, if we have we'll say this is an oxygen, okay? That's an oxygen atom. And then we have a hydrogen atom, okay? So I'll draw an H there, okay? I'll change the color. I'll draw the electrons in yellow. Okay, so the hydroxide molecule will have, actually I'll draw this first. I'll show you why it's a negative ion, the hydroxide. Okay, so in the nucleus of the oxygen atom, okay, so this is the oxygen atom. Let me do that. Okay, so there's 8 protons inside of an oxygen atom, okay? So in the oxygen atom, there's 8 protons, and inside of the hydrogen atom, oops, there's 1. Okay, so that means we have, in this molecule, we have 8 plus 1 is 9 protons. Okay? Now, the hydrogen atom, change the color, has 1 electron. Okay? And it's paired up with another electron. Okay, from the oxygen atom. And then we have another pair here, another pair here, and another pair here. Okay, so that's the outer orbit of the oxygen atom. There's one more orbit around, and it's got another 2. So if you count the amount of electrons in this hydroxide ion, and why it's called a hydroxide ion is because if you count them, we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We got 10 electrons. Okay, so you got 10 electrons, 9 protons. That means that you have a charge of -1. So that is why this is called the hydroxide ion. Okay, OH negative. And this is what's produced when a substance is more alkaline. Okay, the hydronium decreases and the hydroxide increases. If the hydronium and the hydroxide are equal, you have a neutral substance. Okay, that's back to module 3. So that's hydroxide. Now, if I take this same molecule, okay, and this molecule doesn't have, Let's see here. Okay, so now I've basically have removed one electron. I've removed one electron from the outer orbit of the oxygen atom. Okay, so now I have 9 protons, 9 electrons. Okay, so now I don't have a hydroxide ion anymore. I have a neutral molecule. This neutral molecule, okay, looks like that. That is now called the hydroxyl. Okay, the hydroxyl radical. Why is it a free radical if it's neutral? And why that free radicals are always positively charged is a misconception, because what's making this molecule a free radical is this unpaired electron. Okay, so this guy right here wants to be paired like the rest of them. So this molecule is going to go and scavenge, is going to hunt down an electron from whatever molecule it can find. That's all it wants to do. That's its whole sole purpose. Okay, it wants to take an electron from something else to satisfy that, to satisfy the fact that that electron is missing its pair. Okay, that's why that's the hydroxyl radical. Okay, so now let's show you. I'll show you what the H2 is. Okay, so the antioxidant that we have in our Kangen water, our selective antioxidant, okay, it's in the form of a gas, okay, that is dissolved in the water, and it's actually escaping. That's the bubbles in the Kangen water, and there's a lot more bubbles dissolved in the water than what you can actually see, but the bubbles are escaping. So the antioxidant properties, the therapeutic properties of the Kangen water, okay, are on a time. Okay, they don't last forever, and there's a window of time where it's therapeutic. So the best way to drink it is fresh from the machine. And that's why the ST501, the K8 are better products, because they are going to produce more of this H2. So when you take the water and store it in a bottle and take it to work, it's probably going to have a lot more dissolved hydrogen in the water, molecular hydrogen, than some of these cheaper machines that may produce almost none. Okay. So the magic to this water is the production of this H2. So H2, okay, there's one hydrogen atom, and it's got one proton. Okay, it's got one electron. Okay. And then we got another hydrogen proton. Okay, and it's got another electron. So 2 hydrogen atoms become H2. So that's H2. So we got 2 protons, 2 electrons. The net charge is 0. It's a neutral molecule. Now, what is this active hydrogen, everyone? You always hear this on Facebook or on YouTube, or it's the active hydrogen that's therapeutic. Well, there is no active hydrogen in Kangen water. Active hydrogen just means you have one of those. An active hydrogen just means one hydrogen atom, okay? So if you were to take just half of that, so one electron, one hydrogen proton, there's active hydrogen. That is not what's in the water. It's produced momentarily, and then it will always connect to another hydrogen atom and produce molecular hydrogen. So the antioxidant, another misconception is that it's active hydrogen. It isn't active hydrogen that's the antioxidant. It's molecular hydrogen, or diatomic, di meaning two, okay? Or H2 for short, we'll call it H2, okay? So this H2, if we have, oh, let me fix that. If we have a hydroxyl radical here, oops. Okay, if we have a hydroxyl radical here, and a hydroxyl radical here, okay, they're both neutral. But we now know that they both are neutral, but both of these have a electron in its outer orbit that is unpaired. So what this H2 molecule can do, okay, is this one will go to here, and this one will go to here, okay, and the outcome, through all drawings, the outcome is we end up with oxygen, hydrogen, oxygen, hydrogen. Okay, we end up with, that's so bad. That's okay, as long as you guys get the point. Let me erase that. No, I'll do better than that. Oxygen. You end up with two water molecules, okay? So now we've neutralized two hydroxyl radicals, so there's no toxic side effect or no toxic waste like other antioxidants where you have less harmful free radicals as a byproduct. One H2O molecule can directly neutralize two hydroxyl radicals into H2O, which is water, which hydrates you, okay? So that's a little breakdown of what I'm talking about here. Now, the hydroxide, which we talked about, which I drew originally, the OH negative, that's a state, that molecule is satisfied. All the OH negative, the outer orbit of its shell, has all paired electrons, so it's very satisfied. It's not reactive. It's not going to want to lose those electrons, okay? But what is beneficial about the hydroxide is, which we talked about in Module 3, but since we're doing, I'll just bring it up, okay? The OH negative, okay, what will happen is if I have a hydronium, or H plus as we call it, as short, which is what makes something acidic, okay? The more of these concentrated in a liquid, the lower the pH goes, right? So that's -1, +1 charge. When this comes in contact with this, okay, this hydrogen is slightly positive here. It's going to be attracted to the hydroxide, so it's going to go over here, okay? And what this equals is another two H2O molecules, okay? So this one here, because it's now lost that hydrogen proton, okay, to this hydroxide, it becomes H2O. And this becomes H2O. Okay, and we've eliminated a hydronium, or H plus, which means we've not just buffered acid or diluted acid, we've actually eliminated acid completely. Okay, so that's one of the benefits of hydroxide. Another benefit is when a liquid has a higher concentration of hydroxide, it's going to have a higher level of dissolved oxygen in the water, okay? And obviously, if it has a higher level of oxygen, it can eliminate hydronium, so eliminate acid, and it's alkaline. It's not going to require the body to buffer it when it is ingested, okay? Okay, so I think that's it for the drawing there. I hope that helped. Let's go back to here. Go here. Okay. Okay, oxidants, which we just talked about, but we're going to continue. So oxidants are molecules that are considered reactive. ROS is one term, and they are also called free radicals. Free radicals are produced by the body, used by the body, and are harmful to the body. So those are just a bunch of ways that I've come across free radicals in my learning, my education, is we produce them, okay? We actually use them, some of them, to benefit us, and they are very harmful to the body, okay, overall. They cause oxidation, which leads to oxidative stress, which leads to the aging process, okay? That involves acidic waste accumulation, and then chronic inflammation. We are exposed to free radicals in other ways, such as drinks, food choices, air pollution, different chemicals we may come in contact with, cigarettes, alcohol. Mental anxiety and stress is a big one. When you are in a state of anxiety, fear, anger, stress, and you stay in those states for a long time, and your being is in those states, you know what you really feel. You feel heavy, you feel anxious, your heart's pounding, or your breathing is very shallow. Okay, you are producing chemicals in your body from your brain that are acidic. Okay, that can cause free radical damage. Okay, free radicals are molecules that have an unpaired electron or electrons in their valence orbit. These molecules or atoms have but one purpose, and that is to find that equilibrium. They are electron hungry. I'm really pounding that in because I don't want people that are taking this going through this module to ever think that oxidants mean positively charged. Okay? It just means that unpaired electron in the outer orbit, and that's why it's reactive. They accomplish this by reacting with biomolecules and taking an electron. This process reduces the ROS and oxidizes the biomolecule. Okay, so that's that redox reaction that we talked about in the ORP module. Okay, so the free radical will be reduced. It's going to gain an electron. The biomolecule of your cell becomes oxidized. Okay. Now the biomolecule is reactive and wants to regain an electron, so it takes one from a neighboring biomolecule. So it creates, once that biomolecule has electrons stolen, it now becomes a free radical, and it steals, and then it starts to cascade throughout the cell, bringing the voltage of the cell down, oxidizing the cell, and basically breaking it down. This creates a cascading effect and can cause oxidative stress in the body. This is the underlying issue in regards to many diseases. One thing we have to keep in mind, Kangen water is not a cure. Okay, it really isn't. We don't just say that to be working within the lines. It's not a cure. A lot of these degenerative diseases issues don't require a cure, but we have to understand that the leading cause to a lot of degenerative diseases is oxidative stress. When cells are being damaged nonstop, when cells are constantly being degenerated through oxidative stress, okay, because we have an imbalance in oxidants versus antioxidants, or we have nutritional deficiencies and we're dehydrated, okay, all these things create oxidative stress. That triggers the inflammation response in the body because the body thinks it's being attacked. Well, it is. So the inflammation response becomes chronic because it's constantly running. And the inflammation response itself will become damaging to healthy cells. So if we can get this in check, if we can get this oxidative stress in check, okay, that's going to really prevent us from having issues later on in life, and it's going to help us maintain that longevity, okay, that we all want. That health is our true wealth. Okay, antioxidants can act like a shield between reactive oxygen species and biomolecules. Okay, so that's where the antioxidants come in. They protect, they buffer between. Okay, they shield our cells. A person must have a balance of oxidants to antioxidants in order to maintain a healthy body. If there is an imbalance, oxidation can become unmanageable and destroy cells. This also causes oxidative stress. Okay, so I'm repeating myself a lot here, but I think that's a good thing. Okay, so here's some simple diagrams. Okay, that are a very simplistic visual. So we have on the left, we have an antioxidant. Okay, and it's donating an electron to that free radical. Now that free radical is paired, has all those electrons paired, and boom, is satisfied. Okay, and on the right we have some examples of where free radicals can come from, and we have radioactive material, we have our metabolism, we have our inflammation response. Our white blood cells use free radicals as a way to, let's say you cut yourself on a dirty nail, okay, and now all these germs and bugs are entering your body. Well, your inflammation response is going to go there and it's going to kill that bacteria using reactive oxygen species. Okay, so that's an example of where they are. Okay, cigarette smoke is full. It's basically a free radical powerhouse. Like, it's just horrible for you. When I used to smoke a little bit when I would drink and go out, but when I learned about this information, I literally could not touch a cigarette. I quit smoking in 2000 completely. I used to just smoke. I wasn't a full-time smoker, but I would smoke once in a while. When I learned this information back in 2016, I literally I never touched one again. I had no issue because I realized what these free radicals are doing. I've been told before, oh, smoking's bad, and I knew, but when I really got into this information, I could not physically touch cigarette. Air pollution, okay, UV light, okay, soft drinks, Gatorade, carbonated waters, sodas, high processed sugary drinks, Kool-Aid, okay, microwavable food, acidic forming foods, okay, deep fried foods. All these things are chocked full of free radicals, okay? Okay, let's talk about H2 gas, the antioxidant in the common water. Molecular hydrogen, H2, or also called diatomic hydrogen, is a gas and is what is the antioxidant in common water. Now, we're going to talk about the H2 production in the electrolysis module that we're going to be doing next. But just when the water is literally boiling with H2. Okay, this process produces H2 right from the water itself, and it literally bubbles out of the water. Okay, there is a misconception that it is active hydrogen that is the antioxidant. We've already discussed that. It's not active hydrogen. Okay, now those little things matter to certain people. If you want to get this information across to somebody who has an education in biochemistry, okay, or in biology, who is a medical doctor, who has a PhD in sciences or a doctorate in in some form of the sciences, you want to speak their language a little bit. You want to have the proper terminology. That shows that you're a professional. So don't say active hydrogen, say molecular hydrogen. Okay, it's a big difference. Active hydrogen rarely ever, if ever, stays alone in the universe. Okay. H2 is known as a selective antioxidant, meaning it neutralizes harmful ROS, like the hydroxyl radical, but has no effect on ROS that are useful to the body. Okay? It's a very smart antioxidant. It is the smallest molecule in existence and can reach virtually any part of the body. This includes easily passing the blood-brain barrier, passing through cell membranes, and getting into cellular organelles, like the mitochondria, as well as into the cell nucleus, and can protect the DNA from reactive oxygen species damage. Okay, so it's the smallest molecule in the universe, and you're consuming a therapeutic amount of it. Okay, so what happens is it can get everywhere. It's small. It can penetrate right through the cells. Get rid of it. Now, cells are like people. They have their own physiology. Okay, they breathe. Okay, they have a waste product, so they poop technically. Okay, they reproduce. Okay, they split, produce. They die. Okay, and they need oxygen to live and nutrition. So they have organs. So one of the organs is the organelle called the mitochondria, and the mitochondria is, in the simplest way to explain it, is it's the engine of the cell. It's the organ in the cell that produces energy. Okay, the energy that we use for all of our functions. Okay, this is done in the mitochondria. So the H2 can get into those little organelles. It can get into the nucleus of a cell, which the nucleus of a cell is what holds the DNA. So free radicals like hydroxyl can get into the DNA and damage the DNA. So having H2 available daily, consuming that, you're able to get an antioxidant so small and so powerful that it's able to go and protect the DNA in your cells. Okay. There is no toxic side effect to H2, and there is no way to consume too much of it. Okay? Studies have shown that it's a very safe and effective method to intaking antioxidant, this type of antioxidant. Okay, if you consume a lot of it, you would just breathe it out, and it's not foreign to the body. Your body, you actually produce hydrogen gas in your gut when you digest food. Okay, it's actually, so it's not foreign to the body. It's extremely safe. It is not unfamiliar to the body. You produce H2 in the gut. Go to PubMed or search on Google Scholar, and you can find many medical articles written on hydrogen-rich water and all sorts of different disease models. Okay, hydrogen. This topic of H2, we can do an entire course on it. Okay, just on H2. It's growing fast. There's a lot of research going into it right now. It's new science, okay, and it is a lot of information. I just gave you some of the basics that I found were the most easy to explain to people and to use promoting the antioxidant. Okay, that it's able to get so when you're drinking this, it's able to neutralize free radicals in every part of your body. Okay. So, like I said, you don't need to be an H2 expert to sell and have a successful Enagic business, but it does help to have this basic understanding. Okay. When Kangen water is stored for too long, the H2 gas will dissipate and escape the water over time. This loss of H2 will make the Kangen water less therapeutic. Okay, so that's why when you give the water to people on water trials, You want to tell them to get it as fresh as possible. Don't give them big 5-gallon jugs. Okay, give people a gallon or a gallon at the most. I give people because I want them to come back and get it fresh. Because if they're not getting it fresh, they're going to be drinking it 2, 3, 4 days after they've gotten it. It's just going to be mineral water. Okay, it's just going to be alkaline mineral water, and they're not going to get that therapeutic benefit. And they're going to go, well, I don't really notice the difference. So make sure that they're coming to get it fresh. They're consuming it daily fresh, and then they're going to really notice a difference, especially when they stop drinking it after the trial. They got to go back to what they were doing before, and what they were doing before, I'm telling you, is not going to be suffice anymore. You've changed their awareness. You've changed what they should be drinking, and they're going to go back to drinking what they were, and they're going to be like, oh my God, how did I ever go without this? Okay, it happens all the time. H2 concentration in water is measured in milligrams per liter. Okay, 1 to 3 milligrams per liter or ppm is considered the minimum amount to be therapeutic. Okay, so there is a way you can measure how much H2 is in the water being produced, and that is with these H2 blue drops, they're called, and you put the drop, there's a little plastic cup that it comes with, and you put a milliliter of water in the cup, and you drop the blue drops in, and each drop, if the blue drop turns clear, okay, it means that it was neutralized by the hydrogen gas. So each drop means 0.1 of a milligram. So you can actually use this as a way to count the concentration of H2, okay, in a liquid. I recommend using the H2 drops, the H2 blue drops, in your demos if you want. It's something that's newer that's been coming out to show that even though a substance is alkaline, it's not an antioxidant, and you can show them because the H2 blue drops are neutralized by the Kangen water. So you can kind of use the H2 blue drops as a way to represent free radicals, okay? Okay, so that's it for antioxidants and oxidants. I hope that clarified a lot of information of what antioxidants are, what oxidants are, some misconceptions, and I hope now we know what the antioxidant in the Kangen water is. And the idea here is to be clear, have the right information, factual information, so that people can trust what you're promoting. Okay. So that's it for module 5, and I will see everyone on the next module.